Hello, family whom I love so much. Welcome to another character trait lesson. We've been talking about a certain character trait. Do you remember what it was? Honesty. Good job. And there are 5 parts to the honesty. What are they? Never cheating, never lying, never stealing. Okay. What were the last 2? They were a little bit different. Can you remember? The one was working hard for an honest day's pay. When you have a job to do it the very best you can do. And then the last one, do you remember what it was? Keeping promises. And when we do all of these things, that they combined into one character trait called integrity. Integrity is a part of being honest. Honest is a part of having integrity. Today we're going to start a new character trait, talk about a new character trait, and it is courage. Think, what does it mean to have courage? It means to be brave. Think of different times that you were courageous. Can you think of any? To me, making these videos has taken a lot of courage on my part. I'm not comfortable doing this. And that is one way I've had to have the character trait of courage. Can you think of people in your life who are courageous? Some of the people that we usually think about are firemen, policemen, soldiers. All of those people have to have courage. And as we learn about courage, we're going to be talking about different people who were courageous and different situations that they were in that they had to be brave. So we're going to talk about 4 different elements of courage in these next few lessons. One of them is courage to face your fears. Something that I have a fear of are snakes. And I've had to use a lot of courage to walk around these mountains and hills. And even when I'm walking outside, I have to keep my eyes open because of rattlesnakes. So facing our fears, we're going to talk about that. How about saying no to things you should not do? This one takes a lot of courage to standing up for what we believe. Let's say that you are at a friend's house and the friend is watching a movie that you know that you should not watch. Are you going to have the courage to say, let's go play a game, or I need to go home, or let's do something else? That's going to take courage to stand up for what we believe. Oh, whoops. Here we go. Standing up for what we believe is the one I just talked about. How about saying no to things we should not do? Okay, here's a better example for that one. Your friends are in the store and they want to steal something. Are you going to have the courage to say no because you know you should not do that? And then standing up for what we believe is like saying no to a movie that your friend's watching. And the last one we're going to talk about is the courage to be you. That takes a lot of courage sometimes when everybody else is doing other things. And we'll talk some more about that in different posts. Have you ever noticed that when you need to have courage and be courageous, that your heart just starts pounding right out of your chest and your breathing changes? That's very normal. If I'm walking along the path and all of a sudden I face a snake, my heart starts pounding and my breathing becomes different. Or you want to share your testimony, What are some other times when you should be, okay, how about correcting a mistake you've made? Facing up to that and telling the truth about that. That takes a lot of courage. Your heart's a pounding. That's okay. That's really normal. I remember a couple stories about you grandkids. Not too many months ago, Abby was asked to play the piano in church. She and her mother were playing a duet, and this was the first time Abby had ever played in public. Because of COVID-19, she's never been involved in any piano recitals. And she stood up there and went to the piano, and her mom went to the organ, and they did a beautiful job. And afterwards, when I talked to Abby, she says, "Oh, Grandma, my heart was just a pounding and my hands were just a shaking." But she did it. She was courageous enough to do it. Another incident of courage with you grandkids, I remember Emma coming to our church. She was so nervous and so frightened to go to a class with the kids her age, but she did it. How about just this fall, Hallie was had to change schools. This was so frightening for her to go to a new school where she knew no one, had none of her old friends, but she had the courage and she did it. Those are incidences where you grandkids showed courage to me. Okay, we're going to play a little game. I'm going to give you some examples of situations where people had to have courage. And I want you to say, I'm going to give two examples, and you raise your finger of which one is the courageous. Is it number one or is it number two? Which one took the most courage? Okay. And I have a little jar of rice. Can you see my rice here? Okay. All right, first story. Now you think, which one took the most courage, the first situation or the second situation? The middle school had a basketball game, and it was really close. The game was finally over with, and your team lost. And they were poor sports. There was a big fight in the middle of the floor afterwards. So, does it take more courage to join the fight, or does it take more courage to walk away? How about this one? Everyone at school is wearing a shirt you do not particularly like. It's the modern style and everybody has one. Which takes the most courage, number one or number two? You buy one just like everybody else's. Or number two, you wear what you like. Which takes the most courage, number one or number two? Everyone is eating lunch in the lunchroom. But it is a beautiful day outside, and you want to take your lunch outside and eat outside. Your friends do not want to go with you. Which takes the most courage, to go outside by yourself or to stay in with everyone else? Silly Grandma, what am I doing? You are with three friends who want to shoplift a couple of small items just for the fun of it. What does it mean to shoplift? You're in the store and you sneak something and put it in your pocket or your purse, and you take it without paying for it. That's what shoplifting is, okay? So you're with these three friends, and these three friends decide they're going to do it just for fun. You tell them no. But they say if you do not, they will never be your friends again, which takes the most courage. You decide to go along with them and do what they want, or you leave the store. Number one or number two, which takes the most courage. You notice a new student in your class. He is sitting by himself and he looks very lonely. It's hard for you to meet new people, but number one, you go over when class ends and ask him about himself and make friends. Does that take the more courage? Or you are too shy, so you do not do anything. Which was the most courageous? Going over and meeting him or walking away? Number one or number two? There is an art contest at school. None of your friends is entering it, but you would like to. You have never entered an art contest before, and you are not sure you are any good at it. What are you going to do? Which takes the most courage, number one or number two? You decide you are just not good enough, so you don't try. You decide to give it a try. Number one or number two? You and your friends are having a movie party. The kids begin watching a movie that you know you should not watch. We kind of talked about that one. Okay, what are you going to do? You are too embarrassed to say anything, so you keep watching the movie. Or you say, hey, this is not the best movie. I know this fun game you would all like to play. You would all enjoy. Number one or number two? Which was the brave thing? You are afraid of the dark. Your baby brother is sick. Mother is busy caring for him. It is night and mother needs you to go out to the car to get his medicine she left there. Okay, number one, you tell your mother that you cannot do it. Number two, you gather your courage and get the medicine. Okay. You let your friends talk you into sneaking into the school at night. You and your friends jammed a door and were able to get in after dark. The next day, the principal began calling different students into his office, trying to determine who had been in the school. It is now your turn. What are you going to do? Number one, even though you know you are going to be in bad trouble, you tell the truth regardless of the consequences. Number two, you just cannot let anyone know what you had done, so you lie and cover up the truth. Okay, let's see. I have a couple other situations. What about you're playing, there's a game of croquet. You're out on the lawn playing croquet with Grandma's croquet sets. And all the kids are moving ahead and they're going through, knocking the ball and going through the hoops. What are you going to do? You're having a really hard time. Number one, you're going to give up and walk away. Or number two, you're going to keep trying over and over again, even though you're going to be last. What's the courageous thing, number 1 or number 2? Okay, you are in a 4-H class or a scout class. There we go. Let's go with scouts. You were in a lesson learning how to tie knots. And you're just working and you finally have mastered it and you're ready to go on to the next one. But your little friend next to you is struggling. Are you going to go ahead and go on to learning the next knot? Are you going to stay and help him? Number 1 or number 2? Okay, let me see this situation. I can't think of I'll have to work on this one a little bit. How about this? Some of the kids at school are teasing and bullying a child that is different. Let's say that he came from another country and he's a new student in the school and his clothes are different and his language is different. What are you going to do? Number 1, you're going to stand up for that child and tell the other kids to leave him alone. Or number 2, you're going to keep bullying that child. What are you going to do? Okay, I don't have a story for this, but how about sometimes we get in trouble and do something we don't want to do. Number 1, do we blame others for our mistakes? Or number 2, do we take the mistake upon ourselves? So, I don't know if you can see. See right here? This good egg, when every time he was courageous, he rose above other people. He became strong and the best he possibly could be because he was courageous and did what he needed to do. Okay. We're going to end this lesson with these words. It takes courage to do the right thing in every situation. So, stand up for what is right. Stand up for what is right, even if you have to stand alone. So, write courage on your character house. Find a place and write courage on it. And are you taking notes? Be sure and write all of these things that we've learned today and talked about today in your little grandma binder. And always remember how much I love you, and always remember how wonderful you are.